Transporting what?
I don't know. His case.
All right. You've been involved with Mr. Bouchette for a while? You have 2 children with him?
Yes, I do.
Okay. And following your dissolution of the relationship with Mr. Woolard, you initiated that relationship again. Is that
No.
correct?
Absolutely not.
Didn't. So when you posted on Facebook in 2013 that you were returning to your number 1 baby daddy, that was in fact not a true statement?
He wrote that.
It was on your Facebook page, wasn't it?
He wrote that on my Facebook page.
And it showed you in his arms?
No, it was me, my daughter, and him.
And you were snuggled up in his arms?
It was our family.
And now you're living at his
Yeah.
home?
Objection, let her finish the response.
My apologies.
It was our family picture because we have a family picture with me, Sammy, and Noble, and we didn't have one with my daughter, so we just took a picture of our family.
Okay. But it's your family picture, taken in
It wasn't
2012?
professionally done.
I understand that. In fact,
Yes.
It looked like it was done on a camera and then posted to Facebook, correct? But you're saying you didn't post it?
I didn't post it, no.
But it's on your Facebook?
Did you? Yes. Yes.
Just making sure. But you haven't reinitiated the relationship with Mr. Bouchette?
I would never, no.
But you're living at his home,
I'm living at Jean's home.
where he resided?
No, he didn't live there.
Never lived there?
He doesn't live there.
Did he ever live there?
No.
Okay. 2008 or 9, I'm still not sure from your testimony, you received custody of your 2 children with Mr. Bouchette, correct?
Yes.
You had sole custody, correct? Was it 2009?
Yes.
Okay. And you have sole legal or were awarded sole legal custody, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
No, I'm sorry.
No?
Joint legal custody, sole physical custody.
And what kinds of, in that decree, what kind of visitation was Mr. Bouchette granted?
He was granted 2 times a month to see the children for an hour each time.
And could he take them to the park, or did it have to be supervised?
It was supervised.
It was supervised. That was the order of the court, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Did the court change that order?
No, our case was closed.
Did you or he apply to the court for a change of custody?
No.
You just chose to ignore it
No, I
and
didn't.
reintroduce them into the children.
I didn't ignore it, and I reunited them together. Yes, I did.
You didn't, well, which is it? Did you reunite them or did you ignore it?
I reunited them, and I reunited them.
Okay, and the order says he only has supervised
Objection,
visitation.
that's an answer argument at this point.
Sustained. You made your point.
Okay. Did you send Noble to live with him?
Yes, I did.
And you were not living there at the time that you sent him to live with his father, correct?
I was not living where?
With Mr. Bouchette or with Noble?
I was living with Noble before he went to move down there.
But he went there 6 months ahead of you, correct?
Correct.
And lived there without you?
Correct.
Okay. With Mr. Bouchette?
No, Sammy doesn't live there with his grandma.
Oh, he was living with his grandmother, not...
He lives down at 360. Noble moved down to 363 West of Marsh Street. Yes.
And did Mr. Bouchette live there as well?
No, he doesn't live there.
Well, we know he doesn't live there now. We're talking...
Didn't live there then. He
Okay.
uses it as a mailing address.
So did you send the child to live with grandma or with Sammy?
Sammy's he's there, but he's not there. He doesn't have any belongings in the house.
Who did you send the child to live with?
With his grandmother.
Okay.
You also stated that Mr. Willard never provided any babysitting for Noble or Jewel. Is that
Not
your
after
testimony?
No, that's not my testimony.
Okay, because I want to clarify that, because I didn't think it was either. When you and Mr. Woolard were together, did he ever provide childcare for those two children?
When we were together, yes.
Okay. Was it even at times overnight childcare because you were traveling?
Judge,
No.
there's an objection sustained before when we asked
That's not
about
true.
stuff which predated the decree. I did everything after the entry of the decree. So I don't know why he's going into this area.
Because you asked direct on it. I just wanted to clarify the record.
2000.
Well, number one, I don't know what decree you're talking about. There's so many decrees. Are you talking about in this case or
I'm
San?
talking about the July 2010 order.
Well, I'm gonna permit it because, you both have not even objected to any of that. It all came in this morning, pre-orders and following the orders, and no objections was made by anyone. So it's kinda late now to go back and try to stop it. But you do understand, I want you both to know that I'm not gonna give it much weight if it's something they did before they entered into stipulations or orders by the court.
To be clear, Your Honor, all I wanted to do was clear the record. I was pretty sure of the facts. It was brought up. I thought it was muddied. I wanted it clarified.
So go ahead and clarify it.
I thought I just did.
We weren't
When you were
together?
together, he provided childcare, correct?
That was in 2009. In 2010, no, he did not.
All right.
And never overnight.
But it was never overnight.
No.
Okay. All right, let's get to the complicated part. When did you leave Nevada?
When did I leave Nevada? 2012, December.
December of 2012. And you moved to Redondo Beach, correct?
Correct.
All right. And you brought your daughter with you?
Yes.
Okay. And your son was already there?
I brought my daughter where with me?
To Redondo?
More
In
specific.
December of 2012?
Not to Redondo, to San Pedro.
Okay.
I stayed in Redondo. They
So your children were not living
have
with
a
you at
room
that?
at their grandma, with their
Okay.
grandmothers.
All right. And when did their father go to prison?
He didn't go to prison.
Mr. Bouchette is not in prison right now?
No, he's in county jail.
Okay.
East Max Pitches Detention Center.
What's it called?
East Max is Pitches Detention Center. It's East Max Pitches Detention Center.
Okay. And what city is that in?
Wayside, in Wayside.
Wayside?
Yeah.
Okay.
And that's not a part of California Department of Corrections, that's a county jail?
It's a county jail.
All right.
It sounds like it's probably a county jail which is operated by a private company.
It's LA County Jail. It's part of LA County Jail.
It is a private company.
Thank you.
Does explain why I couldn't find him. All right. You stated on direct that you started an internet cafe. Is that correct?
I helped my friends start a business, yes.
Okay. When did that start?
When I first moved back, it was January 2013.
Okay.
I helped.
How many hours did you work?
I didn't work a specific number of hours. I didn't get a specific paycheck.
Was it a business startup? So
I
it's
just
a
helped
lot
him
of
find the
hours.
building. I helped him come up with ideas and graphics and stuff like that.
Okay. But you did work there?
I didn't get a paycheck. I didn't have a time card.
Okay.
I helped my friend open a business.
Was it your business or not?
Not my business.
Okay. So are you employed?
Currently?
Yes.
No.
When's the last time you were employed?
It was in May. I was working for culinary staffing. I picked up jobs online and I went to banquets and I was a banquet server.
May of what, 14?
Yes.
So the last job you had was May of 2014?
Yes.
Okay. How are you going to provide for the children?
I'm going to get a job.
Why haven't you gotten a job since January of 2013?
Why haven't I gotten a job? Because of it's complicated. When you run my name under, when a police officer were to run my name, it shows up that I have felony. It shows up that I'm on probation for felony theft. I've gone to the district attorney clerk's office here in Nevada to try and fix that. She said she's never seen anything like it. It must she's never, ever, and she said it's a typo because all our information is right here, but with the police it's wrong. And so when someone does a background check on me, it shows up that I'm on probation for theft.
Okay. So you're stating that you can't currently get a job?
I haven't been able to. I've been on several interviews. My lawyer, Stephen Stein's supposed to help me with this actually after this.
All right. Let's go back to Nevada. You moved here in 2008, is that correct?
August 2008.
All right, I'm kind of interested in how she lives.
I'm going to come back to that, but there's a couple of things I want to cover before I
Sorry,
get
go
back
ahead,
to.
I'm sorry.
No, I understand, and I understand why you kind of want to. Ms. Clemens, where did you live when you first moved here?
I lived with 7360 Vieira Drive,
Okay. And how long did you reside there?
2 years,
Okay. So when did you leave?
2010.
So when did you live at 2180 East Warm Springs?
After 2011, sorry.
Okay. And when did you leave there?
I lived there for a year. My lease was up, and then I moved to another apartment.
So your lease was up and that's why you moved out? You weren't forcibly evicted?
Yeah.
No.
There wasn't, in fact, a judgment entered against you for past rent, and the constables didn't show up and lock you out?
No, I rented a different apartment.
Okay. And where was that second apartment that you rented?
9171 West Desert Inn Road.
9123 West Desert Inn Road?
No,
102?
no. 9171 West Desert Inn Road. F102.
All right. And what was the name of that apartment complex? Do you remember? Was it
No.
Broadstone Desert?
Yes.
Okay. And how did you leave that place?
I lost my job. I was arrested at the medical marijuana dispensary.
Okay.
I couldn't afford to keep up the rent, and so I moved in with Paul.
So again, you were evicted.
Objection, Judge, argument is that
Sustained, she said she wasn't evicted, so it can't be again. And I don't know if she got evicted this
Were
time.
you evicted?
I couldn't afford to pay the rent.
So you were evicted.
Judge, same,
I was arrested, so yeah, I lost my job. It actually wasn't a job anymore.
How are you covering your expenses now?
I'm on state aid right now.
I can't hear you.
State aid, I get help from the state.
Can you pull the mic up closer to you or raise your voice a little bit?
I get cash aid and I'm on TANF and CalWorks.
So you have 3 children, and the only income that you have is what you're provided by through welfare?
Yes.
objection states what you said.
Just clarifying. All right, you also stated on direct that you never interfered with his 2 times a week telephone calls. Is that correct?
Correct.
Do you recall back in, and I just want to make sure I get the dates correct, January of 2014, we were here in this court?
Yes, I recall.
Okay. Do you recall the judge's orders regarding telephone contact between Robert Jr. and Robert Sr. during your custodial time?
Yes, I asked for them.
Okay. And what did the judge tell you regarding those telephone visitations?
I believe it was 6 or 7 o'clock at p.m. Tuesdays and Thursdays.
Okay. What else did he say? Did he say anything about no excuses to keep a telephone and to make sure that Mr. Woolard knew how to reach you?
Right.
Okay. On March 20th, why didn't you let your son talk to to his father?
March 20th.
March 20th.
He's always gotten his phone calls. I didn't purposely ever let my son not talk to his father.
How about April 22nd?
No, he'd talk to his dad when on those days.
And again on Easter. So if Robert gets on the stand and testifies that he was not permitted to talk on these days, he's lying.
I'm telling you what I know. He was able to talk to his son. On Easter, I believe we didn't have an available phone. It was dead that day, and we were busy that day.
The judge say no excuses?
He didn't say anything about Easter.
How about the 24th?
And actually, I believe the phone call schedule situation, was that made in January?
It was made in January.
Okay.
How about April 24th, 2014?
What about it?
Did you allow a phone call that day?
I always allow my son to talk to his dad.
So again, if he testifies otherwise, he would be lying. Is that what you're saying?
I always allow my son to talk to his dad,
Okay.
especially on Tuesdays and Thursdays.
May 15th? You're saying you allowed him to talk to his father on that day.
Yes, I can pull up the same phone records.
How about the 20th?
Of what? There's
May.
a lot of 20s.
The 20th of May, also a Tuesday.
I've never not allowed my son to talk to his dad.
You didn't, in fact, have your phone turned off and then ended up calling him back the next day on somebody else's phone?
On somebody else's phone. At one point, my phone was stolen, and then I notified him and let him know that my phone was stolen, and I called from my daughter's phone.
Prior to the
And
time?
I told him to call that number. No, not prior to the time my phone was stolen. No, but prior to the time he was supposed to talk to him. Yes, I let him know that that's how he can contact me further.
So on June 10th, you also allowed him to call?
I always allow my son to talk to his dad.
And you will say the same thing regarding August 20th, September 9th, October
August
10th,
20th.
and November 4th. You will state that on every one of those dates that you permitted your son to talk to Robert.
Yes. My son also doesn't like to talk on the phone. He doesn't. He'll tell me as well as his dad a lot of times that he's busy, or he'll say, "Watch me do this trick on my skateboard," and he'll have us watch on the phone. It's just depends on my son, but he's always permitted to talk to his dad. We call on
All
other
of
days.
these days.
On more days than that, he talks to him.
Okay.
Not just those days.
Let's talk about the dental work you talked about.
Okay.
Did Robert inform you there was concern regarding the teeth?
Yes.
Did you have a dentist look at him?
No, I made an appointment.
For when?
I made an appointment. What do you mean for when? I think it was in a month.
When
a month
were you
later.
informed that there was an issue? Okay, do you know? Or
I don't know the
approximately?
exact date. No, I don't.
Approximately.
It was. I was informed 2 weeks before he had the tooth pulled. Approximately maybe a month ago.
Okay. Were you informed on his time, his custodial time, or your custodial time?
I was informed when we were switching.
Okay. So you were receiving Robert at that point?
Yes, and I made an
You
appointment.
had him for 2 weeks?
Yes.
Did you have a dentist look at him during that 2 weeks?
No, I had to make an appointment.
And you couldn't get one within the 2 weeks?
No, I made it within. I think it was a month out because he would just started. He was already going to school. It was a month out. I know that.
But this was an issue that was discussed between the two of you, correct? Robert brought it to your attention?
We talked about it several times.
Okay. Guess there was also an issue with the shots that you,
I was never notified about the shots.
what weren't you informed? That he had received them?
Yes, he received them before he was 5. I was never notified of, and I actually called him to receive a shot record, and I never got that either. Still haven't.
I'm confused.
I'm sorry.
Why haven't you gotten them?
Because I've called Robert and asked him for them, and he won't give them to me. I have his shot records besides the 5-year-old shots.
So it's just the 5-year-old shot records? that you need to add to it?
Yes.
Do you need Robert to get it for you, or can you get it yourself?
I can get it myself through the doctor. It makes it a little more difficult, and they have to mail it, but I've done it. That's how I did it last time.
All right. So the most difficult part of today's discussion. You stated that you always maintained the 3.5-day relationship during that period of time, correct?
Yes, I did.
Was your son enrolled in school?
Yes.
Do you know what school he was enrolled at?
Yes, I do.
What's the name of that school?
Acelero Learning Center.
Solero
I was
Learning.
on the parent.
And at the Acelero Learning,
If you can just finish the answer first. we
I
can
thought-
move on.
I was on the parent-teacher council.
my apologies.
How old was your child at that time?
My son's gone to school since he was a year old.
So let's talk about the Acelero Learning School. What's required when you deliver the young man to school?
You have to
As a,
sign.
you sign him in?
Yeah.
Okay. And when you pick him up,
When you pick him up,
does he have to be signed out, or does they just come running out the doors and meet you and you walk off?
no, you go in and you get him and you sign him out.
Okay. So, did you sign him out?
No, I didn't because I was working.
Who signed him out?
His aunt, and she'd bring him over to me.
Who's his aunt?
Debbie Nieto.
So her initials would appear on the sign-out sheet? Okay. So it would be initialed NN?
DN
DN. Okay.
for Debbie Nieto.
And how often did that occur? Because you were on a 3.5. So what days would she have
She would
signed?
do it all the time, and then she'd bring him to me, or she'd bring him to Robert.
What days were yours?
My days were Sunday through Wednesday.
So,
Well, Thursday morning when I took him to school.
okay, so her initials should appear Monday, Tuesday.
Wednesday, Thursday, and there wasn't school Friday. Sometimes when he went all day, there was school Friday.
Do you recall receiving all of the sign-in sheets for the school and the information that we sent you?
Yes, I do.
Ms. Clemens, would it surprise you that those initials don't appear after 2012?
Would it surprise me?
Yeah.
What initials don't appear?
Yours or Ms. Nietos? That the only initials that appear are RW and AW?
Right, that's when I moved to California.
Okay. But what about 2012? That, honestly, that's a big bone of contention because my client claims you were not exercising your visitation. You
In
claim
Dec-
you are.
In December of 2012, I moved.
Okay. So, do you recall getting these? And you've looked at them, correct?
Yes, I've looked at them.
And I'm,
Filled out the paperwork for my son to go to school there. My initials are, I can see them from here, they're all over there.
but when do they cease? That's the bigger question. When do they stop appearing?
They stopped appearing as so much when he was in the afternoon when I agreed to let Debbie pick up my son and bring him to me so she could spend time with him since she thought she was dying because she was diagnosed with the same thing her dad had just died from.
Okay, when did that occur?
I couldn't give you exact dates on that. You've asked me a lot of dates today.
Well,
And really, I'm just,
I have your initials appearing on May of 2012, dropping your son, actually picking your son up, okay? No question that that's you, NC?
probably had to work.
The problem is, after that, all pickups are RW.
Okay. He'd pick him up after he got off work. He only went half day, my son. I was at work.
But I thought you had him Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. You told this court Robert did not have him.
Okay.
Okay, but
I
he's
had him
picking him
Sunday
up.
through Wednesday. That just means they pick him up. I was probably working and he brought him to me. We had. I mean, did you look at who was dropping him off?
Yeah, you drop him off quite a bit. I'm not
Okay.
questioning that.
So then that's because I
I'm
had
talking
him.
about the pickup, because you said, no,
He'd pick him up and drop him off to me.
so he actually did exercise more than the 3.5 days. You
No.
kind of worked together, correct?
We both did all the time. We worked together.
Okay, and that's what he was trying to say. You guys worked together, but he picked him up a lot because he got off earlier, didn't he?
Right. I got off at 2:30 in the afternoon.
Let's go to December, though,
Got
of
off, my son got off
2012.
out of school at 12:30.
And then
12:15, or,
in December of 2012, you left, correct, and moved to California.
yes.
And you left Robert Jr. in the care of Robert, correct?
I had to, yes. I was following a court order.
Oh, I can't hear you.
I was following a court order. I had to.
Did you file a motion to change custody?
No, I hadn't. We had an oral agreement that I can come see my son whenever I wanted, and he wouldn't keep him from me.
But you voluntarily left, correct?
I had to, yes. I didn't have anywhere to live.
You left him in the care and custody of Robert, correct?
I was obeying a court order, yes.
We'll take that as a yes. All right. Now, you know Robert's mom pretty well.
Unfortunately.
Okay. You two get along well?
Well, yes, we need when we have to, yes. Except
You
when
testified, though, that
Objection, let her finish the answer first.
except when she decides to keep my child from me, all the time, randomly. I don't know. Randomly, I know she doesn't like me. Put it that way.
and yet you want this court to believe that she let you stay in her home for 3 days at a time
Yes.
to
she
visit your
did.
child in 2013.
I used to live there for 2 years.
And that ended in, what, 2010?
Yes.
We're now talking 2013. Okay?
If my child is in a home, I'm going to go see him. Yes.
But you want this court to believe that you came here 3 days at a time and stayed in Mr. Willard's house.
I don't want them to believe I'm stating facts.
Okay. So it's your testimony that despite this animosity and hiding, that this wonderful lady opened her doors and allowed you to stay at her house for days at a time, half a month at a time, to stay with your son.
I don't
That's your
understand-
testimony,
I don't
correct?
understand your question.
That Antoinette opened her doors to you 3 and 4 days at a time in 2013 and permitted you to stay.
It was more Robert. If Robert told her to let me, yes, she does what he wants.
I just want to say there was supposed to be a half-a-day trial, and I was going to give you some extra time this afternoon.
I'll wrap
I
up.
didn't expect to give you the whole afternoon.
Nicole, did you submit any travel records for 2013 to show you traveled here?
What do you,
Any-
no.
did you
I
show
haven't-
any-
No, I have not. I don't understand travel records.
Did you present receipts for gas, hotels, travel
I've presented a McDonald's receipt.
to Barstow on an
Barstow, because
exchange?
you guys tried to say I wasn't there, yeah.
Okay.
But I had proof I was there. That's the only thing I've submitted. That's all I know.
And even on that one, you were late, correct? It's already been litigated. We've already discussed it at a prior hearing, correct? All right.
So you answered your own question.
All right. I'll pass the witness.
Council has asked you some questions in regards to my records,
Yes.
which they produced, which show times of your son being checked in and checked out of a Exceller Lower
Solero Learning Center.
Learning Center.
My daughter and my son both went there.
These are the records that you're reading off, Troy.
Yes.
Is there a problem with getting these records?
Do we have those, or are they
No,
marked?
these are ones which are exchanged, or they?
They were exchanged, and actually, I think you did receive them by error at the previous hearing, and you said you were not going to review them because they hadn't been admitted, but I think they accidentally got attached to the, to a pretrial
Well, When
memorandum.
you're done with them, we'll take them and mark them as exhibit. What exhibit would that be for? Is it the defendant?
Yeah, I'll do it.
Either one.
It's, G.
EFG.
G.
Oh, okay, please. I don't have a book.
Sorry.
Okay, here's the book. I'm done with it.
You got a book?
I do have one now. I don't know, it just appeared out of nowhere.
I think this book's up here. Okay.
Mine's up there.
There you go. All right. Looking at that document there, I take it your NC, and
Yes.
NC is riddled throughout that document, correct?
Correct,
It's riddled throughout that document in 2012, is that what it is?
yes,
And so it shows that you are an NC, somebody else didn't fake your name for NC all the way through.
right,
So it shows more days than just 1 day a week in 2012.
right. And actually, the schedule was, I forgot, Robert would drop him off on his way to work, and Debbie would pick him up on the way home,
Okay.
and drop him off to me, on my days.
So it shows all the days, so
Yeah.
making it possible that his testimony would be there. Absolutely impossible because you dropped him off. Then tell the court why you were dropping off. Why were you using other people to do things?
To make his,
Picking up and,
because that was her time with him, she would go, they would go buy donuts, or
Where
they'd go to
were you?
McDonald's. I was in Nevada,
where,
I was at work,
where were you working?
7-Eleven, and I worked at, 7-Eleven.
Okay, so then prior to the period of time when you and your son's father lived together,
I worked there for 3 years,
where did you work?
7-Eleven and Target.
Okay, and so where did your son's father work at that period of time?
He didn't work.
So who is the person that was paying for the entire household during that period of time?
I paid $500 for rent, I paid our car payment, I paid our insurance, and we got food stamps from the state of Nevada.
So after this period of time, now you're in California. Is Robert sending you any money right now?
No,
So you're living in a house right now, that you're living in a house rent-free right now?
yes,
And that's being provided for by your children's
Right.
father's mother?
yes,
And you're living on state assistance right now?
yes.
And do you have any other types of assistance from any other people giving you any type of money?
A family friend helps us pay for Christmas presents, that's about it.
How are your kids doing? Are they going without, or could they do a little bit better, or are they fine?
No, they have it, they're spoiled, they have everything they want.
And so you're going to get a job as soon as you can get a job, you're looking for a job, and you're gonna get a job, and things are going
Right.
fine right now.
I
You're
haven't
not
stopped
living on
looking
the
for jobs.
streets. The kids are eating square meals a day, and they're fine, and they're doing well.
Yes,
Nothing further, Judge.
Okay, you can step down.
thank you.
Any other witness?
No, Judge.
Do you have any other witness?
I'm gonna call Robert. Okay.
Is this gonna be your direct?
Yes.
Is this your last witness?
Yeah, I got everything. Yes, he'll be my only witness.
Okay, sir, you're still under oath. We're not gonna swear you in again. You can proceed.
Robert, I'm going to be brief because we covered a lot of this, but I want to talk specifically about phone calls since March of 2014. Have you had a regular problem? I don't want to be leading, and I've been on cross.
Well, you got a good start to leading that time, but you stopped
I
yourself.
stopped myself.
I can answer that already.
That's because it was so leading you the first couple of
No,
words.
no, like I stated earlier, there is a problem with
answer.
calling.
Let me ask the question
Okay.
first. Can you explain to the court the problems with phone calls?
Every Tuesday, I cannot get a hold of him. I call you and I tell you every time, I can't get a hold of her again. I can't get a hold of her again. I can't get a hold of her again. It's just over and over and over, the last time we changed the hours again because she said that she was taking the kids to gymnastics and football, so I agreed to change it. We changed it from 7, from what the judge said, to 4, now to 6.
Okay. And does it continue to be a problem?
It's been a problem up to the last week.
Explain.
Well, it's only been 1 week. I don't know. It's only been 1 week. There was a problem all the way, every Tuesday. It just seemed like she wasn't answering the phone. She wouldn't answer the phone.
She says she does.
That's not true. I mean, I got phone records showing that there's no answer. There's no answer. It's she's gonna say she does. I'm gonna say she doesn't.
Okay. Let's talk about 2013. Did Nicole come and stay at your home for any days in order to visit Rob?
Not one. My mom doesn't like her. She won't even let her in the house.
So, did she come for an hour?
No. She came. I think she came one time, and she went to the park. She came with some guy, and they left. After that, no, my mom's never let her stay in the house after she's moved out.
All right. So, from January of 2013 until June of 2013, were there any overnight visits between Nicole and Robert Jr.?
At his house or anywhere or what?
Anywhere?
In Las Vegas?
No. She didn't come up and see him at all. I mean, I can't believe she even said she did.
Okay. And in 2013, when you went to jail for the probation, this all started. Is that,
Right.
I know that's leading, but
Yeah.
that takes us to the current day.
Yeah.
Okay. So previously, you testified that there was a 9-month period that she disappeared.
Right.
Okay. Let's clarify the record. She left in December of 2012, correct?
Right. Yes.
That's been testified to, and
Yes.
you agree that's correct?
Yes.
And she showed back up in June,
Right.
so it wasn't really 9 months.
Well, 5 months, 6 months.
Okay, just wanted to clarify
Yeah,
that.
it was.
That's the
it
only
was
thing I have. I'll pass the witness.
right. It wasn't 9 months, but
How do you know she showed up in June?
how do I know she showed up in June?
Yeah.
Because
Said
they.
June. Come on, where are you getting the June figure from?
That's when I went to jail. That's when she
Now,
came
how-
down.
Hold on. How in the world do you know when she's gonna be there in June and you're in jail?
How do I know? Because my mom told me.
So your mom told you that she came over and she wanted to see the kids in June? Is that what your testimony is?
I guess so.
So then who's lying? Your mom or you? Judge, if you look at those CPS reports, the CPS reports say that mom didn't come over the house or do anything. And then one CPS reports that says that she went over there is like banging on the door, which is a complete lie between all these people. Nothing further, Judge.
You can sit down.
All right.
Given that last, I'm gonna recall Nicole very, very quickly.
Well, stay there and answer the question, because it's gonna be very quick.
Do you have your exhibit book? Would you go to your exhibit F, the CPS investigation?
Yes.
Nicole, do you remember this interview?
I was in prison. I was in California.
Actually, didn't you talk to him?
No, I did not ever talk to them
Okay, did the detectives talk to you?
on the phone.
Okay.
When they found my child, they informed me that they found my child and that a CPS worker would contact me.
All right. Why didn't you give him your address?
Why didn't I give him my address? I did not give him my address.
Would you go to page 4, please?
Okay.
Would you go to the 4th paragraph down? Just to refresh your memory.
Yes.
Okay.
You want her to read it, or what?
I actually just want to refresh her memory.
Everything said in the CPS report is what Antoinette said to the CPS worker. Antoinette
Actually-
Willard. Yes.
Who said it?
Antoinette Willard said it to the CPS worker. Everything that's written down is just what she said to them.
That's the grandmother or the mother?
But look at the sentence that says, that you refuse to provide detectives with your friend's address locally.
That's his brother's house when I was staying there going to court.
Why not give the address?
I stayed there looking for my child, okay, and I did give them the address. I gave that to the detective. So I wasn't aware of this whole interview. I later received it, actually with your paperwork, I believe. None of this. I didn't know about any of it.
So the detective and CPS worker are lying when they say that you refuse to provide an
No, Antoinette, they recorded what Antoinette Willard stated to them. If you read that, it says that in there. I read the whole thing.
Thank you.
You're saying that okay,
That's what it says.
nothing else.
Okay. Should I say it's been very productive, or? You guys want to have closing argument? I hope not, 'cause if you want to, go ahead, it's your case. I don't know what you can add to it, because even today hasn't added much to it. After a couple hours is basically where we started almost a year ago. He said, she said this, no, I didn't. So it's two versions of the same story. It's never have really changed. But I'm not gonna stop you from your closing argument, as you have the burden of proof, so you can go first.
Judge, a couple things we know are true today. Beyond anything else, beyond a reasonable doubt, we know some things. Well, actually a lot of things. One is that they have a child together, and that my client has 2 other children, which are doing very well. She lives in California with those 2 other children. We know that the father of the son that they have together, Robert, was convicted in Nevada in 2011 for theft, possession of stolen goods. We know that to be a true statement. We know it to be a true statement that in June of 2013, that he tested hot for being on drugs. On meth. That is a fact. Those are all facts, undisputed facts. We know that during this period of time is that he says, I remember everything that occurred, and I've been on the straight and narrow since our son was born. We know that's a false statement. We know that he was convicted in Nevada after his son was born. We know that he got a probation violation, parole violation for testing hot. His own testimony said that that wasn't the only time that he used illegal drugs. His own testimony was that he went ahead and he several different times used drugs and he wasn't caught with it. This wasn't the only time he used drugs. It doesn't matter what his attorney says on redirect or whatever you want to call it. He already admitted in open court that he had used drugs several different times. He's already admitted that he doesn't care that he's been pulled over and cited several times for driving without a driver's license. He's still going to drive a car. He's not going to follow a court order. Never has, never will. When set with like one of the most terrible crimes, he still drives afterwards. Hasn't caught his lesson. Still driving with her son in the car. Then you hear these wild allegations, which he says up on the stand. My client's a terrible woman, she did drugs, she did all this stuff. Never proved that. Never even asked her the question, does she do drugs? Terrible woman, she doesn't do anything. She's the one I watch the kids all the time. Absolutely false statement. His attorney tries to clear it up. Yeah, it occurred prior to the divorce, or prior to the custodial order. So I guess cleaning it up a little bit that says that it occurred before that, that client testified he's never spent overnights watching my client's children, ever. He said to you, Your Honor, Nicole has not seen the kids maybe once a week since 2010 through 2012. Well, the records would show with the check-in with their own records, dispute that. Once a liar, always a liar. You can't trust a bit of the testimony he's saying. There's a jury instruction is if you can't accept the testimony of one thing, you can disregard all of his testimony. It's unfortunate they share a child together. You hear her promoting the frequent associations with his family member, allowing her to go do the exchanges because my client's at work. And because she thought that she was going to die because she had some type of incurable disease. Thank gosh she's still with us and that never occurred. My client still promoted that. When I heard of these things, and this, in his case in chief, saying that my client, disputing the fact that my client stayed at the house this period of time, then hearing the stuff that, no, gosh, his mother hates my client. What terrible words. Just absolutely terrible words. It's the mother of his child, that his mother hates him when he lives in a house. I mean, imagine this house that we talked about where he lives at. 3 kids have been taken away by CPS. They come out there with those Toyota Priuses, surround the house, come in the house and invade all of your privacy in the world, and take away children. His mother, his brother now is away for theft or for other crimes. He's in prison. Other daughter was taken away, her daughter was taken away, but shares the house with them, and the person that he wants to share the driving with doing other things, which is the person that's helping out during the day when he's at work, that she had her child taken away at birth because she tested positive in the same house where this child's been residing? What a terrible thing, is a child gets born with finding drugs in their system, then their mom goes away, then it gets back, the child comes back 2 years later. What a terrible bonding thing for a child. And that's the environment where Robert Jr. has been raised at for the last few years or so, actually since his birth, when he's in Robert's care, custody, and control. Robert can't remember something that happened a few years ago or something that happened a week ago, and he changes around the story as it becomes to suit his fancy. And his redirect examination by his counsel asked the same question which I asked. When did you deny phone contact? And now it's all these dates and everything. Somehow these dates came out of thin air and somehow created and fabricated. We had amnesia before as to these dates. Could you imagine trying to work things out with this gentleman? Just simple stuff and arguing all the way. She's sweet as pie over here. I'm trying to work things out, you know what? Allow this to occur, whatever this occurs, you know what? Where the life is, we got the cards that we're dealt with, we'll work our way through it. But she's done everything in the world in which to promote frequent association. She's done everything in the world in which to eliminate conflict. She's done everything in the world to make sure that the children are taken care of. She's shown whatever it is in which her children, Noble and Jules, maintain a healthy relationship with Robert Jr. She lives in California. She lives in a house where things are taken care of and paid for by the father's mother of her other children. You know what? Not the best situation in the world, not the worst. We haven't heard anything about neglect of the children. We haven't heard anything that they've been going without. To the contrary, we hear that mom, despite all these things, she says, no, the kids are spoiled. And how incredible is to hear that 2 children that she's raising solely without their father and she's promoting relationships with the other father's family, and she's going and getting assistance, which is one of the other father's family. But you hear the wonderful things. The kids are getting straight A's. I think these are straight A's
My
and
daughter
then
normally
A's and
does.
B's. I'm sorry, I've always messed that one up, and I apologize for that. Active in sports, doing well, and they get along. We have never heard anything this entire trial but any neglect, problems, hurting, exchanging of clothing, all the things that we usually hear. Only thing we hear of is a completely different vast stories. He says that all his vast amnesia is caused by the fact that he was in a car accident a few years ago back in 2002. Whether that's what the reason is or because it's derived to some other type of a problem that he may have, he is still the father of Robert Jr. My client is the only person here that's going to go ahead and promote frequent associations and making sure that Robert's going to be taken care of both educationally, emotionally, financially. She's going to need some assistance, but she says that things are fine. Child can't go back and forth every 2 weeks. She's going to provide the transportation. If he can't drive, because he has a driver's license and has somebody else, she'll do the driving to and from Las Vegas. Judge, I know that it's a tough case, and I know that we've listened to stuff, and do we have the most perfect people in the world? No, but we gotta make the decision, what's the best interest of the child? Best interest of the child, we can't have the child going back and forth. What's the best interest? Not to be placed in an environment which we know, where he's tested positive for drugs, which we know he's been convicted of a felony, which he violated the terms of probation, which we know by his own testimony that he has a history of being a habitual criminal, which we know that he doesn't have the driver's license or the ability in which to follow a simple order, get a driver's license when you're out there driving on the road and don't go and injure other people. It's frightening to know that he's on the road after he's had his manslaughter conviction, he's still driving without a license. It's a terrible thing.
Thank you.
I like the line, once a liar, always a liar, and I would ask the court to keep that in mind. The evidence today, she wants you to believe that she's not back with a boyfriend who's currently in jail, has previously been in prison, and is therefore trafficking in drugs, but she's living in his home. She wants the court to believe that despite evidence that this court is well aware of, my office has been aware of, she hasn't been residing at her mother's house in Steinhardt virtually ever. That was the only address she could provide. This court's aware of it. As far as trying to encourage frequent contact with the other parent, this court is well aware. We've been here. We had to have a return order because she absconded with the child from the state. Okay? It's a nice paint job. And as counsel said, we don't have ideal parents. But we do have parents, truthfully, that care about this young man, and both have taken steps to improve their life. Yes, my client messed up, okay? But he has finished drug court, he is clean, he is sober, he has undergone every testing, he has gone through parenting classes, all of which this court is well aware of. So some things that need to be considered. The burden of proof is on them. She voluntarily left the state, creating a per se primary physical with my client, okay? Whether that was 3 months or 6 months, she created this. She did not file a motion and ask to remove. In fact, we had to have the child returned. They have not shown that there has been any change in circumstance that these two have not always had that creates any type of presumption that a change in custody should occur. Primary physical has and should continue to reside with my client. He has provided her ample opportunity. If you take her at her word, he apparently allowed her to stay at his home to see this child. Frankly, it was a convenient lie to try to show that the per se wasn't there. But that's her testimony, that he has continued that. I would ask Your Honor to consider that, okay? She talks about him being enrolled in school. I find that an interesting thing, considering this court specifically told these parents, I don't want this child in school, he's too young. And she did what she wanted anyway. She did that with her other children. The court said, because he's a convicted felon, do not have anything but supervised visitation. She chose to ignore it. And now she wants this court to believe she's not actually reunited with his boyfriend, but she's living in his family's home. Your Honor, as counsel said, once a liar, always a liar. And frankly, I think the court is very clear on who's lying. We don't have perfect parents, but we do have parents who are trying. But one is sitting here lying to get what she wants. My client has a stable job, has had a job for 5 years, provides for himself, requests no public assistance, provides a home that's paid for by his family. It's free and clear. And he has been in that home his entire life. Testimony today showed Ms. Clemens has been evicted and or left numerous homes since the birth of this child. She doesn't provide a stable environment. She couldn't even provide for her 2 other children. Whether we believe that she sent them to live with their grandmother, or you don't choose to believe her, and that she returned them to Mr. Bouchette, who again, the court said, supervised visitation only, that's up to the court. But she has not been providing. Others have. With that, I'll submit.
Okay, thank you. Do we have schedules, or do we need to work on schedules for Thanksgiving and Christmas this year, or?
We do not have schedules.
Can I say something? We're gonna go down there Wednesday and Thursday, if, like we did last year, if she wants to come pick him up and bring him back, but we can go back, I mean, that's fine.
So you're gonna be in Redondo for Thanksgiving?
In California, the same address.
Oh,
That's Thanksgiving. We still gotta deal with both holidays.
who has the children right before Thanksgiving? You do?
I do.
And you're gonna go down there and let her have the children for,
Well, just like we did last time. What was it last time? A few hours?
Last time I got him a few hours, yeah.
Yeah.
what are you doing Thanksgiving
We're,
Day?
Thanksgiving Day is,
Thursday.
we're eating at my daughter's house.
Which is where? In
Is
Redondo?
no, it's in, it's Carson, I think it is.
How far is that from her?
It's probably 5 miles.
Okay.
Okay, you can pick up the child, would 4 o'clock on Thanksgiving Day, will you be done with Thanksgiving dinner?
Yeah, because we eat at 12.
So, can you pick up the child and keep the child till 6 o'clock on Friday?
Yes.
4 to 6, that's only 2 hours, Your Honor.
Oh, she's gonna pick him up 4 o'clock Thursday, Thanksgiving Day, and keep him till 6 the next day.
Got it.
And you're gonna still be there, right?
We plan on leaving right after that. I mean, we could stay until 7, you know, I have to go
Friday,
back.
you coming back Friday?
Yes, I have to go to work.
What time are you coming back Friday?
Well, we were gonna leave Thursday night,
All Thursday night?
right? I
Okay.
mean, she could pick him up, Wednesday,
When is your 2 weeks in?
that Sunday.
That Sunday?
Yes.
Okay, she'll pick him up around 5 o'clock, like I said, 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock, and she'll keep the child. There's no need to go back and forth.
Should start 2 weeks.
She'll start her 2 weeks early. Because otherwise, you're gonna take the child down there sometime Wednesday or Thursday. You're gonna come back Friday with the child, then you're gonna go back there Sunday with the child, or Saturday. So all I'm saying, just leave the child there Thanksgiving Day, and her 2 weeks will start early.
You following?
Yeah, I hear him. Okay, I don't know if we're gonna. Yeah, okay.
Is the exchange that Sunday or not?
It's that Sunday, yes, it's next Sunday,
Okay.
yeah.
Do you really want to come back on Friday and then drive back to Barstow on Sunday?
Yes, I would.
But he's not gonna be permitted to do that, 'cause
Right.
it's not just him, it's the child I'm concerned about.
I understand that. I was actually confused as to what he wanted, so
Well, then,
I am clear now.
excuse me.
Go ahead.
because I didn't know if we were gonna come back Thursday or Friday, can she pick the baby up on Friday and then keep him, and then let him?
No, because I think Thanksgiving's on Thursday. Do you wanna pick them? I said, okay, if you pick them up Friday and keep them for your 2 weeks? Okay, so you, what time Friday and where?
5 o'clock at my daughter's house.
5 o'clock Friday? Yes. You weren't even gonna be there Friday.
I
now
know,
you're-
I'll just stay an
First you
extra
said you're
day,
not gonna
just
be
to,
there.
I'll just stay an extra day just to stay with my son
don't-
a day longer.
Well, you're not gonna be with the son. The son's gonna be with him or her.
Well, at 5 o'clock, I mean, I just.
No, it'll be what time I give her. You're keeping Thanksgiving. Are you working Friday?
No,
Okay, noon on Friday, she gets the child.
Okay.
That was the easy part. Now we go to Christmas. Should we have a meeting next Monday and decide what we're gonna do on Christmas? Or can we handle it right now?
Well, we should be able to handle it.
Okay, let's talk about it. Do we know who's gonna have the child like that week before, like Christmas Eve?
I believe I do.
Okay, so,
I believe. She picked him up for Christmas last year. On Christmas Day, she picked him up.
last week?
You guys split
Last year.
What time?
I don't know when she picked him up last year, what time.
5 p.m.
You had them last Christmas?
At 5 p.m. I missed the whole Christmas.
Yeah, it's his custodial time, Your Honor. Christmas.
Well,
He got
But-
Christmas Eve last year and he got Christmas and I got
Holidays
him my
supersede
son
regular,
at
so-
5 p.m. on Christmas night.
but if he has Thanksgiving and he had Christmas last year, that one,
He had both last year too.
I'm just saying, that one seems pretty clear.
This year should get both this year?
Yeah.
Yeah, why
So
does-
when is if we didn't have Christmas, was she supposed to get the child on the 28th?
No, she got the
This year.
child on.
You have the calendar?
Yeah, she was gonna get him that Sunday after Christmas, Your Honor.
Okay, so instead of transporting the child to Barstow on the 28th, we're gonna do it Wednesday, the 24th. That's the, New Year's Eve, so she can have New Year's Eve. I don't know, do you work? It's a Wednesday.
Yes, I work on Wednesday.
Are you working New Year's Eve?
No, not New Year's.
Not New Year's Day, I'm talking New Year's Eve.
Yeah, I work.
Okay.
So we'll exchange the child. I think, I'm looking at noon on Christmas Day, and you can keep the child for 2 weeks after, your 2 weeks after that. So, sir, that makes 2 Christmases where you have had the child. I know it's fine for you.
I'm sorry.
Your Honor, are you talking about exchanging now on the 25th instead of the
Well, he says he
24th?
can't do it on the 24th because he works. When do you get out of work?
Like 2 o'clock.
Okay, get the child down to mom, by 7 o'clock at Barstow,
On
Christmas Eve. Christmas Eve, 24th.
I'm just telling you.
So,
Don't fight this. There's things you fight and things you don't. This is one.
yeah, 7 o'clock. It's not the best night for either child, for the child either way, but you'll have the child Christmas Eve and wake up in your house on Christmas Day, and you can keep the child for your 2 weeks that start on the 28th. And then by that time, I should have a decision. There's a couple of decisions pending ahead of yours. You have to line up on the runway. Thank you. Have a nice Thanksgiving.
Your Honor, just, I want to make sure I'm clear on this,
Okay,
because
go ahead.
the Christmas commences at 7 p.m. on the 24th. That one we got in Barstow.
Right.
The return is the regular on Sunday, the 4th.
Well, let me see, 1 week. No, I think it'll be the 11th. Her 2 weeks start the 28th.
Okay.
Yeah, that's correct, Your Honor. The 11th.
So if there wasn't for the holidays, she would pick up the child on the 28th and return him on the 11th. So we're gonna keep the 11th as the return date.
I understand holiday schedules always supersede, Your Honor. I will just remind, because you and I have been on this case for a year now. My client has given up a lot of time, and it looks like we're taking yet more time from him
Right.
on his 2-week blocks.
Earlier.
No, we're taking away 3 days. We're taking away 3 days. The 25th, 26th, and 27th.
And yet we're also taking away at Thanksgiving.
No,
Yeah,
I got him on Thanksgiving.
yeah, but
Oh.
she's taking her on Friday, so you're giving up
3
2 more
days
days
out of
there
the
as
week.
well. And every time we're giving up, and we have done this repeatedly, he's giving up time on his 2-week blocks. We gave up, last time we gave up 3 days because of her son's birthday.
A week.
And it's just, I mean, at some point, doesn't it go the other way as well? I mean,
Well, if you want, we could rearrange a schedule so, you know, instead of the 11th, they'll be back to the 4th. And then she gives up a week.
that's what I'm thinking is far more fair.
I think it'd be far more fair if she takes the child right now, has Thanksgiving this year, and she has Christmas this year because he had Thanksgiving and Christmas last year. Judge, I think we put together is fine. Let's work with it, go through it, and make it up in the order, and make up the
Well,
years and 4.
you got 5 days coming, and we'll make it up to you. It's just that the holidays mess up the schedule. They're in the middle of the week.
I know.
I don't wanna keep, you know.
With that
just-
final part of the order, I'm good.
Okay, thank you.
So the 11th.
Yeah.
I just don't want the kid going back and forth for a couple of days.
Oh, I understand.
These people need all the money they can and don't spend it on gas.
Sorry, would you do all your excess books so that I just have the books for the exhibit and not seven books?
We got one here.
You got one, yep.
You got all you need?
Thank you, everyone. Thank you. Both did a good
Are
job.
you gonna notify us?
I'm just gonna do a decision